What is going on, everybody? My name is TheDizzyViper and welcome to this tutorial. Today's tutorial is a little different than from what I usually do on the channel. It's a video tutorial about how my folder structures work. I've been asked to do this tutorial from my Twitch channel a lot because people seem to really enjoy my folder structure and how clean and organized all my assets and folders are. Which honestly, I'm happy with it, but I don't think it's ideal. But I will break it down for you and maybe give you some tips, or well, no, not maybe, but I will give you some tips on how you can optimize your organization. So the way that my setup works is I have 5 total drives, 2 of which are SSDs, which is this one and this one. The SSDs have programs on it and software, whereas all my asset drives have, like I said, assets and textures, models, and so on, and also some games. Since I bought these drives once they got almost full, there is no real structure to categories, but it's more I know that this drive, for example, and this drive contain models and textures, so I only have 2 drives with assets, which I know where which assets are. This obviously is not the only storage that I own. I also have a 14 terabyte NAS, which is currently turned off because it's only for backup files and unused client files, for example. But I keep all my textures and models on this specific machine. And the way that I organize my files is pretty simple. I try to break down the category as much as I can to stay as organized as possible. So for example, let's say, I'm going to give you an example really quick. Let's say I have a wood texture that I downloaded from Polygon, right? Wood texture from Polygon in a resolution of, let's say, 4K. Using my folder structure, I know exactly already now where this file is because it's organized in that way. So it is my asset drive. In my asset drive, I have a Cinema 4D downloads folder, which is, by the way, only named like this because it's hard to rename files right now or folders because all the path would change. So I just keep that name. It's just an old name that I used to have back when I started Cinema 4D. The ideal name for this, in my opinion, would be 3D assets or art assets or just assets. So if you go into this folder, right here we have our textures folder, which I know I have to go into that because it's a texture. And in my textures folder, I have a polygon folder. Now we're getting closer to my wood texture. And in my polygon folder, I have a wood folder. And in my wood folder, I have all my wood materials. These are not a single textures yet. These are just the folders named by the name of the texture Polygon gave them. So let's say I want my Bark I don't even know how to pronounce it. Bark Sycamore Model 001. If I go into this folder right now, here you can see all the different resolutions. And like I said earlier on, we want resolution 4K. So if we open this file right now, there we have all the textures. As you can see, there are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 subfolders to get to this texture, which might seem a lot. And I know people who cannot really work with such many folders, but for me it's ideal, and I take a maximum of 10 seconds to get to a texture that I need if I know which one I'm looking for. Of course, if I know I want a wood texture, I have to look all the wood textures through to find the one that suits me. That's also why I like Quixel, because they have a asset library that you can just scroll through and look at everything. And this is, by the way, also what I mean by breaking it down as much as I can. So, like I said, let's say I have this wood texture that I had right here. I know that this is a 4K texture, so I make an own folder for the 4K version, just in case that I download a 2K version as well, so I don't have to rename everything. It's just a thing of thinking as much ahead as you can. Especially when you start a folder structure. Let's say you just start out with 3D and you download your first textures, and that texture happened to be a wood texture. What you want to do is create a texture folder, put it into either a category already. So let's say you accumulate all your wood textures into one wood folder, no matter what the brand or what the website is. That's also fine. I just like to keep all my textures sorted by provider. Just in case I need to credit someone, I know who the texture is by. For example, if I use a texture pack from my buddy Euphoria Design with like dirts and scratches, that is in a texture folder. I can show you right now. It's in my second asset drive, Cinema 4D downloads again, textures, and in here we have a Euphoria folder, and in the Euphoria folder we have his different packs. And right in here, if I open that up, we have the scratch textures. And that way I don't need to worry about, oh, who was this texture by, who do I need to credit, who do I need to, who I need to shout out for using textures or whatever. That way I always know who it's by, and it's a very organized way of doing it. So right now I will explain to you my way of thought before I go into the folders, and just to let you know to what criteria I sort my models. Let's say I want a model from a Ferrari Enzo. Now I know that I have a Ferrari Enzo from CAD/nav. It's not from Hum3D, which all my other vehicles are from, which will also explain why there are so many vehicles unsorted. But I know that my Ferrari Enzo is from CAD/nav. And what is a Ferrari Enzo? It's a supercar. So the way that I organized it, first of all, the most blatant category will be models, of course, because it's a 3D model. The next category will be vehicles. It's not necessarily a car, it's vehicles. That's also why in my vehicles folder there is aircraft and helicopters and boats and so on, because it's all vehicles. Then if I go into CAD/nav, which is my website where I got it from, CAD/nav, and in there I will have a folder called supercars, because the Ferrari Enzo is a supercar. In the folder supercar, there will be the Ferrari Enzo folder, and in there will be my model. So let's go ahead and I'll show you. So we have models. Then the next more detailed category will be vehicles. Next one will be, where is it? CAD/nav. Supercars, Ferrari, oh that's the Berlinetta, my bad, Ferrari Enzo. And right in here I have my models, the model of the Ferrari Enzo. And I know what you might think, why is there a CAD/nav folder but all the rest of your cars are directly inside this folder? The reason for that is because I get most of my models from Hum3D, so all the models that I get directly from Hum3D are directly inside of this folder for quicker access, because I don't need to have another Hum3D folder and so on. So they're all in here, and they're also perfectly organized. So let's say I'm looking for a McLaren Senna. Senna is right here with all the textures and everything, and so on. That I have also a train folder and stuff. Like I said, the folder structure is not perfect. It's not ideal to what it could be. But since I started the folder structure so early, and I actually started without the folder structure back when I made it, this is the best that I could do after that. So I really advise you, if you're just starting out a new folder structure, make it right from the beginning. You'll be very thankful for it in a couple of years. But yeah, the general tip that I have for you guys is break your category of asset down as far as you can, and then make your folder structure accordingly. I have another example for this, my everydays, for example. If I go into my everyday drive, which is this one, or project file drive, I have again a Cinema 4D project folder in there. In here there is an everyday folder, and in there are all my everydays sorted by date. And I always create a specific folder just for the everyday, which I think should be normal in my opinion. I know that a couple of people don't do that. I don't judge it at all. It's just something that I think would be nice, because if, for example, right now I'm trying to find an everyday from 2 years ago, I really do need the name of it, of course. But if I, let's say, want the erratic one, I just can go in here and type erratic and search it. And I have the folder right here and all the other files just in case. I'm going to go into the folder, and there are all my files. This is specifically important if, for example, you sell your work, or let's say you make a personal project and a client wants to buy it or wants to make changes to it, for example. It's just way easier to find it again and work on it. And what I then do, for example, if let's say a client buys this piece of artwork but he says, hey, can I have a red Ferrari? What I will do is I will open it up, the file. I will save with assets to a new file, to a new folder, which is going to go into my clients folder, which I cannot open up at the moment because I have some client work going on, which I cannot show. But I will put it into my clients folder, will be named after the client's name. So either the Instagram name or whatever company it is. I usually take the Instagram name or the name that they used to message me with. So I always know who I have to ask, because if I have 10 of the same clients, I sometimes forget what the exact name was, if it's somebody from Instagram. And yeah, it just makes it easier to track down which project file is for who. Well, I basically then just save that file with assets into that clients folder, and then start working from there. So from that point on, the whole client project is fully autonomous away from my everyday folder. That's just a clean way of doing it. But again, getting back to the simple words, I know this might have been a little bit confusing. Generally, I advise you break the category of your asset down as far as you can and make, it sounds stupid, but make as many folders as you can. Just to be prepared if you get new assets. For example, you can't just make a model folder called I don't know, Bugatti inside of your 3D models folder, because if you then get a Ferrari model, you can't just put it into that Bugatti folder, you have to put it into the models folder. And then it's just an open models folder with thousands and thousands of assets. It will accumulate to that. And at some point, if you have too many assets, you will absolutely have no idea where they are anymore. And of course, that's not only a thing for assets, but for any files. I do this for every single file I download. I try to break it down as much as I can if it's a first, and then I'm happy in 5 years when I have, like I said, thousands of files that I can organize that I have organized and find very quickly. And as you can see right now, I already have about 2 to 3 terabytes full of assets, which is a lot of space for assets. And I think I would have gotten insane by now if there was no organization to it. Organize your files from the start. I know that for some of you that is not possible anymore, but it's better late than never. I hope this tutorial sort of helped you out. It was a little complicated to explain for me as well, but if you have any more questions, make sure to leave it in the comment section down below. I'm happy to answer all of your questions. And yeah, let me know if it helped. Let me know if you got a folder structure into your computer now. And yeah, I wish you guys a great day, and I'll see you on the next tutorial. Have a good one.